You wrote a book at the age of 18.
It feels so fancy when you talk about equality and everything. Organizations often promise about equality, but when you actually go and see places,
If you look at the primal times, woman's job was to love and nurture, and a man's job was to protect and provide.
just don't go and argue just because some person is coming and arguing with you. One has to bring something to an end, be that person who brings thing to an end.
Our food, although delicious, it's sort of like a dichotomy sort of a scale. It's the more delicious the food is, the more unhealthy it is.
Hello and welcome back to Wiser Together with your hosts Parmeet Kumar and Anas Pasha. Thank you for joining us as always and supporting us. We really appreciate it. Today's guest we have today, hailing from India, lives in Vancouver. I especially like her name, Khushi. Khushi, welcome to the podcast. How are you?
I'm good, thank you for having me here. How are you guys doing today?
We're amazing. Thank you for asking. So I just want to ask, like we've delved deeper into this before as well, how people's names can have an effect on their personality, right? And your name being Khushi, obviously, which means happiness, has that ever shaped your personality in any manner?
For me, I think my name defines a lot of myself. Like whenever people see me, perceive me to be, happy, going with her own flow kind of a thing, who's least worried about what's going around her, who's just staying by herself. So I think, yeah, my name does play a role in defining me in person and kind of personality that I carry.
Amazing. I feel like uh, because yeah, name is Khushi, so people reaffirm that always as well, and they would say things like, "Oh, Khushi to hamesha khush rahegi." Like if your name is Khushi, if your name is happiness, you'll always be happy. So that reaffirmation can always play a role as well in strengthening that
Exactly.
aspect of your personality as how you relate to
The
your name.
Yeah, exactly. The funniest part is even when you're crying, people will be like, "Khushi kya?" So like nobody's gonna perceive you as a sad person, right?
That
Like
can
a
be a
happy.
That's a good
weird.
one. That's a good one.
Exactly.
So, do you want people to call you with a different name if you are, I hope not, ever crying? Then it doesn't
No,
make
I don't.
sense. It's very ironic.
Yeah, exactly. No, I'm thinking I'm happier with whatever name I have. Like it keeps people perceiving me in positive senses always. Like not seeing me weak even when I am. So I'm like, fine. Everybody has that phase, and I'm like, even if you don't see me that way, I'm the happier.
Yeah. Do you have any siblings?
Yeah, I have a younger sister.
Is her name like similar?
She's got more Latin name.
What's
Her name is Freya.
Priya?
Ah,
Freya.
Oh, Freya. What does Freya mean?
It means a noble lady.
So, can we say that you are the happy one, she's the noble one?
Yeah, maybe.
Interesting. Nice. Amazing. Okay, Kushi, you wrote, this is what baffles me, and I'll get down to it. You wrote a book at the age of 18. Firstly, tell us about the book. It's called Deep into Reality, by the way, and then we can tag it, add it in the description if anyone wants to check it out.
Sure.
Tell us about that book and tell us also about what prompted you to write a book at the age of 18.
So the time when I wrote book was COVID time. It's like class 12, school was getting really busy and tensing. People didn't know how to deal with COVID. India basically class 12 is a board year that's more pressurizing. So it's like there's nothing to do, things are just piling up, and I'm like, I really want to do something. And then there's this time when I realized that there's real need of women empowerment. People just keep on talking about equality everywhere. Like everybody is like it feels so fancy when you talk about equality and everything. Organizations often promise about equality, but when you actually go and see places, there are very few places that actually practice equality. It's very easy to state that we treat people equally, but when you actually go and step into organizations, it's basically like people just like, maybe because a man is a little bit year or more senior than a female employee, even when females are performing better, it's usually seen that males are getting more promoted than females are at this time. However, now times are changing where there's a lot of changes everywhere, females are growing equally. But like that time it really hit me hard that how can you just be like, you just talk about equality everywhere, you just like, and then when you go to see in actual life, things aren't even practiced the way people are saying.
Did you see a difference in India and Canada from that perspective, equality for men and women?
Yeah, I think India women are more perceived, or rather were more perceived to be more of, homemakers, or who basically make sure that your households are running fine. But now even there things are changing. But for here, what I see is like people just want to balance families. So here it doesn't really matter who's making up with the family. Everybody has to pull in their shares. So rather, whoever, like even kids have to start working at the age of
Yeah.
16, no matter what, how good a family you come from here. But like you basically have to work and make sure that you're paying off for your own expenses. So the major difference I see here is like here there's nothing like gender, there's nothing like age. Everybody is working. Even a 60-year-old lady does the same work that a 16-year-old is
Yes.
doing here.
Yeah. Perhaps a lot for or people can learn this from back from our society, from Pakistan and India, how this differentiates and how they help the economy. So, how does is the book related to women empowerment or equal opportunity for women?
Yeah, a lot of it is focused on women empowerment, but like then there's a part of poems that even focuses on equality, gender equality, basically. Like I think the book is compilation of 15 poems. Out of 15, I think 7 poems are such poems that talk about women empowerment, and the remaining ones talk about just equality.
So, all of them are poems.
Yeah, them
15
are poems.
long 15 long poems.
Yes, it's just an anthology of poems. So,
Can you share your favorite one?
uh,
Or just like the basic idea around it? Obviously, you wouldn't remember it by heart. Do you have your book with you?
I don't. I'm not sitting with the book here with
No
me, but
worries,
it's
no
just
worries. You
the favorite part of the book that I've written is where I talk about a small love story, how it started from an organization where
tell us, tell
where there's
us.
a lot of,
Hmm.
yeah, where there's a lot of inequality in that organization, and female tried to raise her voice, but like no one supported her. Everybody was just trying to mock at her, saying, she's having a lot of fantasy, she's fantasizing herself, and all that. And then there's this man who walks up to her, and then he supports her, and then eventually they fall in love, and they end up, he helps her getting rights and everything, and they end up in a better place. And
Thing.
So, in your own words, can you explain the difference between empowerment and equality?
For me, empowerment comes with equality when you treated equally, where there's no difference, or when no, like when people see you equally able to perform tasks as man and not classify tasks as, this is just supposed to be done by women, or this is just supposed to be done by males, but where responsibilities are equally shared is where empowerment comes in for me. Because when you get your own rights and your own respect, you automatically get empowered, and society just starts perceiving you as a stronger personality.
So, I mean, you did share a brief preface as to what, or as to why you wrote the book. Can you give us maybe like a certain context as to your phase in life which prompted you to write the book? Like, if I were to rephrase this, did something occur to you personally as well, or to a loved one, or to a friend that basically just gave you this prompt?
So for me, when I talk about this topic, it's like my childhood years of schooling, I have grown up with like a fixed bunch of 10 friends of mine, and out of those, all 9 were males, and I was only the female in that class. So like right from my class 1 to until my class 10, I've just grown with those constant 10 bunch of people.
Yeah.
And for me, like there was, because I just grew with them, I just played with them, just spent majority of my school time with them. So whatever I learned, whatever I did, is like never perceived as something that a female can't do. Because for me to stay in the class, to prove myself, to remain in that bunch of competition, for me it was very important that I start surviving through it. and
Hmm.
I just don't step back or just taking an advantage of me being a girl and just not doing certain things. For me, there was this time when I started playing soccer, football, volleyball with all these friends of mine, and I used to be a good defender and a goalkeeper in school. There used to be fights for me for having me in that. Like, whenever someone wants, always me. So it's like, if this can happen, everything can happen. If females can just handle bunch of nine guys, there's nothing else that you really want to do. Like, you really I started understanding how people think, how boys think, and everything. Just started playing with them, spending majority of my time. There's this time in school when my mom was called to school and she was just asked to pat her on back for me allowing me to stay with those people, because usually people are like, she's only the girl, I don't want her to stay in the same school, and probably change me to some other school.
Hmm.
And I was used as an example for people in school saying, just learn to be like her. She's just been doing everything that a guy can do. So, like, why, if I can do it, like, everybody can do it. There's nothing that females cannot do. And at the age of like 10, 12 years, what do you really understand about what's going on around you? So, without even having so much understanding, if I can do so much, then like everybody can just do it. And then that's when it hit me that, it's really important for people to perceive themselves equally and see themselves equally and not consider them lower than anybody else.
But did you have like an incident, a specific incident where you saw that women were considered inferior or were being suppressed or weren't getting equal opportunity, which really sparked that thought that no, I need to do something about this, and then you went on to write the book?
I didn't really see it, but like when it came to younger sections of my school, it was just like people were like, I'm a girl, I cannot do this, or I'm a boy, I won't go and do this. And like, how does task define you by gender, or your gender defining you by not doing some task?
So, do you think like this mentality is already embedded in the mindset of women as well, as much as it is in the society, and that also plays a role?
I think yes, for India now things are changing, but like what I have seen or what I've been noticing while I was growing is, for in the Indian families, women are just supposed to be in the house, maintain households, grow children up, and that's all that women is supposed to do. And how man is defined is the person who earns for the family and supports family financially. There's nothing else that men is supposed to do. Men is not supposed to go and help in the kitchen. Women is not supposed to go and help in the business. However, things are changing now. Women has started going into business and everything. But while I was doing, this is what I have been like just seeing. Like when guests come at your home, you have a son and a daughter. Daughter will come and serve glass of water to guests, and your son is not supposed to do it just because he's a boy.
Yeah, these stigmas and these things are very prevalent, especially in not the modern part of our society, but the more traditional side, which is the majority of it. But like I also think I always go back to primal times, and like the if you look at the primal times, woman's job was to love and nurture, and a man's job was to protect and provide. And through evolution, they've played a certain role, which in the modern society also partly plays a role. And now it's not like a woman's only job is to love and nurture and a man's only job is to protect and provide. That is something innate and primal to them. But you do see men loving and nurturing as well, and you do see women protecting and providing as well, which is like going into business and stuff. And men actually, like, if men aren't going down that route of loving and nurturing and they're just in their pure masculine element, it's called they refer to as masculine toxicity, right? So I guess the roles have changed, but you can't take away the innate primal instinct within a man and a woman and what they are. As much as you might go and work as well and earn and do those things, like loving and nurturing is something very innate to you. And I think it's about finding the right balance, and it's also about embracing the traditional innate side in you, but also accepting what is changing in the society and
Right.
modernize.
Yeah, I think now it's more kind of having a culture of shared responsibilities where the basics
I
still
agree.
remain, but like responsibilities of household is equally shared between both of them now.
Yeah, yeah, I agree.
So, just out of curiosity, you mentioned that you had a group of friends over where there were nine guys and the only female was you. So, moving on from school and into uni or probably college, did that change, or were you always someone who got along with boys more? And I mean, I also have some friends who, like, for me and Parmeet as well, we can say that we get along with most of our female friends rather than our male friends.
I have a lot of guy friends as well, but Anas
Yeah.
only has female friends in Dubai, especially.
So yeah, so for you, how did it change, or is this still like a predicament that you still find yourself in?
I think for me it did change after class 10 because I changed my school after that because my older school was only until class 10. So for class 11 and 12, I did change my school. And class 11 was the very first time when I had my own bunch of girlfriends, that what you call like, and I did find, and the funniest part was I made friends with two other Kushis when I went in the class, like when I went to new. So we were always bunch of three Kushis roaming around in the school, doing our own stuff. Even when one of us was called, all three of us used to turn and see which one out of us is called. It's like funniest part, but no.
Right.
We also
So
have a friend named Khushi, so there's a
yes.
lot of we also shout out
Yeah.
Khushi from Karachi. Oh,
So, yeah, I mean, so since having those female friends and having this learning that you've had, especially writing the book, have you been able to share your thoughts and your thought process with them? And not only with those friends as well, but like other female in your family as well.
Yes, I've been very open in my communication and about whatever I think. But for me, it's like I wouldn't go and talk to people I don't really know unless I know that how that person is going to perceive me to be. So for me, I'm like more close to my own parents and my grandparents and my dad's brother and brother-in-law and them. So like I just talk to bunch of people who very close to me about certain things. I won't go and approach everybody in the family and talk about it. And also when I'm talking to all these people, every one of us has a very different thought process because my parents are like more open-minded and like changing with times into the society now. So I'm like very comfortable discussing certain things with them and I try to explain them things. And the way we stay in house is very different than how my grandparents and my dad's older brother stay. So with them, there are like very limited topics that you can actually talk about. To them, I can't really go and tell them that there's equality, there's
yeah, we
women.
come from a different generation.
Exactly. So I'm gonna be like shoot out or just going
So
to get
maybe like
yelled at.
out of respect, you wouldn't like go into a more detailed conversation with them.
Yeah, I wouldn't. But like when it comes to friends, with friends, I'm like I've always had kind of people that I vibe with. So I would usually go and
Hmm.
chill with people who are like very similar to my kind. So we haven't even had a chance to talk about like these things evidently, but like kind of conversations we have, or like when we just go out or when
Mhm.
just hanging out, do certain things, just define us as in person, like our personalities
Hmm.
overall.
Have they been able to read your book?
Yeah, all of them have. Yeah.
And what, like, I mean, if they were to give you a review, or have you ever taken reviews from them? How was that like?
You know, they were kind of really shocked when because I never told them that I'm writing a book. I had this thing like
How long
writing it.
was that process of writing
I
it?
think it took me like 6, 7 months before I published. I sent my first draft to the
Publisher.
publisher.
Yeah.
Yeah, after I sent my first draft, there were a couple of editing. They wanted me to do certain things. I didn't want to do certain things. So it's just like mediating stuff. And then after
Yeah,
I
back
submitted
and
the
forth.
final copy, it was like
Mm.
a journey of almost like 9, 10 months before the final copy got published. But like I never told them in like such a long time that I'm doing something. I just thought
Mm.
I just wanted to keep a surprise and see how they react if they find out something new about me.
And yeah,
So
how
I
were
just
the reviews then?
all of them are very happy. They turned kind of my personal influencers or marketers or whatever
Ah,
you call them. Or like
amazing.
they just yeah
So
they're
that
very
means
nice.
it was the message was taken in a positive light. right?
Yeah.
Amazing.
Yes.
So this okay. So definitely, I do. I think both Parmeet and I, and as Parmeet was saying as well, that um, times have changed. Earlier, much more primitive time, roles were different because of a lot of other things. Now, with the ease of technology, uh, with a lot of other things coming into play, society changes, government changes, etc., etc. Roles have changed. However, it is true that still there is a certain notion of men having that advantage and men still learning how to tap into their uh, how can I say, like maternal side, like the side where they can show emotions and care. Uh, but I wanted to talk about those nine guys in your life because Parmeet and I talk a lot about community, and this is also one thing that we're trying to build at Wiser as well. So uh, to me, it seems like those nine guys, and including you being the 10th person, were sort of like a community. And, like all of these experience, all of those things that you mentioned, all of the sports that you mentioned, it really pushed you because since those were the sports and the things that those guys were doing, so it's sort of like, and correct me if I'm wrong, it sort of really push you as well to show those friends as well that, I'm as equally as active, strong, competitive as you are. So yeah, so I just want to have this clarity for myself and for the users as well, that those nine guys, and maybe tell us if you're still in contact with them, if you're still good friends with them, they sort of like, and you sort of help them as well, and they sort of help you as well to be this a person who does so many things, who's so educated, who's into extracurricular activities.
For me, all nine of them have played a very crucial role in being what I am right now because they have made sure that I become a very tough person. Like, I people don't usually come and crack me or, just come and talk shit to me and just go from there. Um, they've helped me withstand situations, become emotionally very strong, and like develop the attitude of never giving up. Because not only just sports with them taught me so much, even when it comes to academics, I was very bad with maths and science. It was never my forte. And when it comes to theory subjects, I was like fine, like it worked out, everything was fine when it come to theory. But for maths and science, I would never do well. And then I wouldn't even study for maths, and like whatever I do is going to end up with the same results. I won't really do much. But then there's this time when everybody was just like, how can you not perform in just two subjects and you can do everything else? So just like keep on pushing me through the school and like just do it, just do it, just do it. If I wouldn't make sense of certain things, they would be always there explaining me, helping me understand things. It's like they just made sure that I develop holistically, and it's just not like I remain weaker in some part of my academics and just grow in some areas. Secondly, there's always sense of respect, even when we always went out for dinner or just went out for outing or something. Uh, for me, I did not get my phone until I was in like first year, until I finished first year of my university. I got my phone after I finished it. So for me, and all those had got their phone, I think when they were in class 9, yeah, almost midway class 9 or end of class 9. So for me, they used to tease me that, get your phone, what are you doing? Like, it's enough. How many times do we have to call your mom and stuff? And then sometimes they would just start ranting things on the phone and wouldn't realize that it's not me who's taking the call always. And then I used to use their phone to call my mom even when we were out. But like even when they would never let me wait alone anywhere unless my parents come and receive me. They've never left me, like no matter what, like until even 10:30, 11, they would never leave me alone. That's still the same thing.
So
Like they'll just drop me.
very supportive friends.
Yeah. This year
And
also when like last year when I went back to India, all of us went out, we had fun. But like they would still not let me go home alone. I'm like, just it's fine. It's like just 5 minutes from here, and they're like, no, we'll just drop you halfway home. So like they've
that's
never
just
let me.
gentlemen. Where men are gentlemen, right? We get a lot of bad rep, but we're not all that bad. It's like there's good men out there, and they also stand up for women empowerment and gender equality. And so this topic being very close to your heart, it seems like you're an advocate for women empowerment and gender equality as a whole. And in addition to you writing a book, have you delved into any other endeavors that do add to this narrative? Uh, have you done any other anything else, any other efforts you put into to increase the awareness around this subject?
I haven't done anything directly, but I've just
I
carried
believe
myself.
you were a yoga instructor, or you were.
Yes, I was yoga instructor back in India, where I used to uh, go and instruct people about meditation, yoga, pranayam, help them with food therapies. I used to go for prenatal and postnatal yoga. That's basically post pregnancy and pre pregnancy yoga for females.
Hmm.
I used to do all of that, but like for
So
doing
that
all
is
of that,
maybe indirectly also adding to you are contributing in different ways. Amazing, that's fine. So, in your sense, from all the efforts you have, made, would you say writing a book has been the most fruitful one? Uh,
yes, writing a
yeah.
book was a way to express myself and let people know what I think, because there are certain things that you cannot actually word out. There's always a way to present yourself in certain situations. So I feel like writing a poetry for me was just a simple medium to just go and present myself.
It's crazy, like how does one even think, at the age of 18, 17, think, oh, I'm going to write a book, and then you go through that process, and people not might not realize, but there's a lot that goes into it. What I'm going to do, the language, the tone I'm going to use, using a publisher, where you're going to publish it, how you're going to go about it. Kudos to you for doing that, especially in 9 months. uh, I do believe you are shaped by your efforts, not the results you achieve. So, regardless of how that book does, or how many people read it, or what kind of reviews it, as long as you did something with a good intention at heart, and you made an action that would eventually, directly or indirectly, result in a good outcome that you may or may not able to see, but as long as your intention was pure, that's what matters. And obviously, going down the line, this is a learning curve for you. Maybe you write another book and then another book, and who knows what that will result into, but already the energy has started flowing, right?
For me,
And
that book is always going to remain closed because it just I just published that on the day
Mm.
of my parents' anniversary
dude,
as a gift.
it's a huge accomplishment, and yeah, you should certainly be proud of it. And as
Like,
much as I want to talk more and more about the book, I know you have this spiritual side to yourself as well, which is very in line with what the podcast is about as well. So I kind of want to dive deeper into that. How did you get into spirituality? Briefly take us through your journey. I believe you were working with someone as well, where you learned about different modalities and uh, ways to achieve mindfulness. So please tell us more about that.
so basically, my journey started because of my dad. He was always
Is he a
keen on,
spiritual person, your dad?
yeah, he's spiritual and religious equally. So like, he had that kind of a mindset where he always believed that you need to have patience and ability to accept things the way it is more than arguing. Have a cool mindset always. Like, just don't go and argue just because some person is coming and arguing with you. One has to bring something to an end. Be that person who brings thing to an end instead of just increasing things and just making a huge chaos for no reason. So then that's when he found, and then he's like, just learning things is fine, but then there should be a way that brings in change for people too. Like, he's also very community centric, very much people centric. So then he was just researching things, and then he finds out there's this instructor who's called Ramrik Vig. He's Delhi based. He was once a cancer survivor, a bone marrow third stage cancer survivor, who's tried every possible surgeries or whatever he can do in terms of medical to cure that bone marrow cancer, but that always just kept bouncing back because cancer is something that just keeps on coming if you don't really take it. like even if you take care, it's just a natural thing for it to come back. So then that's when he started practicing yoga, meditation, pranayama, and food therapy. So when I refer to food therapy, it's basically having a good food habit or having good balanced diet. So like when food is fine, life is healthy. So like, it's always said food is the key to everything. Kitchen
I
is the
agree.
medicine everybody
Yeah,
needs. So I feel like that's when, and then I heard his few YouTube videos and everything, and I was really motivated and interested because I did not believe in the first go that something like cancer, if surgeries and treatments cannot cure it, how can your breathing practices, food, and yoga cure such a severe disease? Like, just imagine if I come and tell you that this, just what, however kind of disease you have, I can just cure it with yoga or your food therapy. Someone is just going to laugh and like tell me, how
yeah,
can
it
you just
sounds a bit
do it?
impossible, but
But then I started learning things from him, and I found out that when you have right breathing practice, the free radicals aren't formed in your body. That's the main reason that you remain fit and fine, and you do not fall sick, or you do not become a prey to any illnesses. Next thing I find out is about how food plays a role, because oil, fatty foods, all of this increases your cholesterol level, which after a while results into blockages and everything, and that's how you have your artery blockages or your heart attacks. So when there's right food, your body is healthy and fine, your blood flow is fine, there's no radical formation in your body, then you'll find like there's no way you can fall sick, except when your body cannot adapt to some climatic change. It's a different story altogether. Other than that, there's nowhere that you fall sick, because if everything is right, if habits are fine, if you sleeping good amount of time, should be fine. I think there's no way you can get diseases. After learning that all of this, I started practicing yoga, meditation, and pranayam, because we were in COVID time. I was hearing so many people lose their lives because of COVID, families shattered, and that one fear made me practice things that I wouldn't even have thought of doing it, like yoga. Like I don't even know would ever come in my list ever that I would practice doing it, doing meditation or something. And then after I saw a change in my own self, I was like, if I see a change, I should go
what
and
change
help.
did you see in yourself?
In myself, I started practicing good food habits, I started sleeping good amount of time, like required amount of time. I tried keeping myself active, practicing things that keep your
Sorry,
body
while
active.
you're at it, you did share. So basically, just for the viewers, we did have a preliminary call with you as well some time ago, and we were quite fascinated by your routine as well. And a big part of that was your diet. I still remember. Do you want to share a little bit for the viewers as well, since we're talking about it, and maybe someone can benefit?
Yeah, of course. So for my diet, the first thing in the morning is always warm water with like little bit of lemon into it, because it's really good early in the morning. It boosts your appetite. People with constipation would usually get cured because of warm water and lemon. The next thing that I would have is a glass full of milk with turmeric and little bit of nuts along, because nuts give you good amount of protein, your carbs, everything that you need early in the morning, iron and everything. Turmeric milk, again good for your body, because turmeric is kind of an antibiotic, anti-inflammatory. So again, boosts your immunity, good for you in the morning, for your skin and everything. Moving on, I for my breakfast I'd usually have things that are rich in protein and carbs, because carbs, if they're consumed in the daytime, they usually get digested by end of the day, because throughout the day you're just active doing a lot of things, you're just not sitting. So that's what I would have for my breakfast. For my lunch, I would have a proper lunch where I would have like a vegetable, like whatever vegetable I would like, because that's very good for your body in terms of iron, B12, calcium, protein, you name it, just everything is just there in your vegetables, like green leafy vegetables. It has an anti-inflammatory agents in them, so really good. uh, I- just roti, because your body needs certain amount of wheat, rice, salad. keeps you healthy and everything, like good food habits. Then moving on for my just like a filler kind of a thing, I used to have fruits. Yeah, snacks. For snacks, I usually had fruits and buttermilk again because you need to have good amount of buttermilk to keep you rich in calcium. Because
Dairy
again,
is a
when
big part of our lives.
yeah, because I belong, like I'm a pure vegetarian, so like I really need good amount of dairy going, like so that and fruits. And then in the night, I used to have very light supper, like you call it like your breakfast has to be king size, and then you have a middleman's lunch and a poor's dinner. So that's exactly how my routine looked like in terms of food. And then also in the night, I used to practice meditation that time. So if I used to have something that's very heavy in terms of food, then it's very tough for you to sit and focus because your body is not comfortable. It takes like a lot of time to digest food, and if you have had onions and garlic in the night, then it's like next to impossible for you to sit and focus when you're meditating.
Yeah, because your body's using that energy to digest.
Exactly. So
So
that's how my diet looked like. It's still the same thing because if I don't have enough food, I'm just running throughout the day, and then I would just get tired by end of it.
It's amazing. You see, like this is a big thing, especially I believe. And again, we keep going back to our culture. I guess it's very important for the viewers to understand where we come from, and our food, although delicious, it's sort of like a dichotomy sort of a scale. It's the more delicious the food is, the more unhealthy it is, and it's sort of important to understand. And look, like the people of subcontinent, they constitute, I mean, close to 2 billion people, right? And that's 2 billion people who might not have the correct food knowledge, is what I think. This is something I loved when you say a thing about food therapy. I definitely believe, because you see, like, even for anything, like, even when you're trying to lose weight or do anything, they say that, food is constituting 70 to 80%. And people fail to understand. We just keep on consuming things without thinking and their repercussions. I love the fact that you broke down all of your meals. You broke down what you were eating, why you were eating, and the logic behind it. So it's very
Mm.
important that everyone should research as to what food you're eating, because you are what you eat. This is something which really hit home for me at a later stage in life. I wish I knew this before, but I'm glad that I know now. And I still believe I don't know much, but this is something I would definitely like to work on. And I would encourage the listeners as well that whatever you're putting into your mouth, you should definitely research about it. Try to learn what the label on the back says. Try to learn what the ingredients are, because sometimes a thing might seem healthy, but it's not. And I don't know. I mean, I might be controversial when I say this, but to me, it's anything coming out of a bag is just yeah, it's just not healthy. And I would rather have something like just out of the dirt, like just organic, yeah, raw food, definitely. So yeah, thanks for sharing,
Yeah.
Kushi.
Yeah, but I think in the end, all of us are like humans whose tongues need taste. Everybody needs that one cheat day. But like, what I would say is like, always look for healthier alternatives for yourself. Like, instead of this is what I found out a while ago. While I was just making my white sauce, you put multi-purpose flour to do it. But instead of putting a multi-purpose flour, just use powdered oats. That supplies a multi-purpose flour, and here you go, milk and your oats. Again, healthy combination. So you're fine even if you're having a cheat day. You're still having it in a healthier way. So I'm like, fine,
All
it's
right,
fine.
so we know that next book is going to be a recipe book.
Yes, there you go. But like, yeah, and then after learning all of this, I approached people, started helping them, uh, just helping them having a healthier routine. And then I just went to people who were dealing with Alzheimer's, who had back problems, who's surviving cancer, all of these people. And I did not ask them to stop their medicines because I did not want them to get worried about, what if I stop doing all of this and it's going to have an adverse effect. And it's really tough to gain people's trust until they see a change by what you're doing. And that happens after point of time, because all of this is Ayurvedic. It takes like 3 to 4 months to even show basic results. It's like not nothing overnight or like in 15 days. So then I was like, just continue your medicines, but along with your medicines and your therapy sessions or whatever you have to do, just make sure that you do everything that I ask you to do in terms of food and doing your meditation, your yoga postures, and everything every single day. There were times when I went to people's house, like kind of did home visits, making sure that, because they're elderly people, I didn't really want them to travel and, come to me and do certain things. So I just went to their places and made sure that their comfort is served more than anything else at that point in time. So I did that, and then I was dealing with one pregnant lady. She has before she met me, she already had two miscarriages, and she's already worried about the third kid. She was kind of going into a depression stage, like getting more worried about things that she shouldn't actually be worried about. She was like happy, but like not happy internally. She was just trying to show that she's happy for whatsoever reason, but like her soul wasn't happy. So I started, for her, I just, instead of just making her do postures that help her only for pregnancy, I made sure that I made her do things that even help her stay in a happy state of mind at that point in time, made her do things that she loves. But I never went and told her that I'm doing such things for her. I just did it out of help and love for her, and never charged her for like even doing extra things for her. So like, for me, money never mattered. For me, everything mattered was people knowing how things can change, how medicines can, be substituted with good food habits, and everything can be fine. That's it.
So you seem very passionate about all this. Let's say 5, 10 years from now, if money wasn't a problem, if you didn't have any constraints or limitations, what would you preferably be want to do? 5, 10 years from now, if everything is up to you, there's no limitation, no constraints, what would you like to be doing?
I would I would still practice whatever I'm doing, but like along with that, I would still practice my yoga, meditation, and everything.
Like
Start
for as in terms of like work wise or for other people or for uh
Yeah, I do a lot of charity, lot of community oriented things, lot of things that sustain community and change community for better. But always try to make sure that people have a healthier and a more rewarding life than they've probably had.
yeah. You're also like in your university, you were telling us you are a wellness peer. So what do you do with them? Tell us a bit more about.
So as a wellness peer, I always play a role of a punching bag. Like I always said, I'm just there sitting for people, just listening to what they have to say. Just landing a ear for people to rant out things that they
What
actually
is the
cannot go.
what is the craziest thing you've heard?
Craziest thing is nothing that I just like. I've just
Something
someone
that,
just
that
got.
you remember and you were like thought it's yeah.
There's this girl who walked up to me and she's like, "I don't like staying in the Baker House. That's our university hostel or whatever."
Yeah.
So she's like, "I don't like staying just because it's too dark." I'm like, "There's no reason for you to worry about it being dark. You just need to fix your lights, and you're getting worried for no reason." And
Yeah.
then people come with such weird things just because they're. She
Yeah, I
might
guess
not have.
everybody has their own sort of problems, I guess.
She's not thought about it consciously because she was just too much preoccupied in thinking about how she's going to manage things, because it's probably the first time she's moved out of her own home country, moved out of her, like, just moved away from the family, parents. It's like stepping into a totally different zone where comfort is no option for you. It's like you have to figure out everything. I
Yeah,
think
that can
all
be
of.
overwhelming for people.
And that was winter. So here winters are so bad. 3:30 sunsets are done. Like days are so short. Sometimes if you go to work early in the morning, like around 6:30 day. So I think all of that played a lot of role in how people sometimes think. And sometimes they tend to overreact on situations even without thinking on it about how serious that thing is. That doesn't even affect you anyways, but you still want to overthink. How does someone else's fight come and matter to you just because that person is your roommate? Really? Like it's that. you're just moving out of certain things, and things are affecting you adversely than they should, because you're too much into, thinking about things that you shouldn't. So I think that's the reason that things like that happen.
Yeah, well, if you look at it positively, you're just learning to be a better listener, and I'm sure that will serve you and people around you positively, right?
Also, it's teaching me to develop lot of patience, because there's lot of things that piss you off. Like when you listen to things, you're like, how does that even sound realistic to you? You get irritated by certain things. There's always certain topic that intrigues you and makes you, lose your temper for no reason. But I'm not kind of a person who would lose temper, but I'll just get irritated, and my face expression would show that I'm not liking it. So like, uh, that's what I'm learning, like developing patience and accepting what people say without having your own, attached opinion to it, and like just being fine with whatever they say.
Yeah, certainly. No, that's what I'm saying. Like everybody has their own walks of life, and everybody comes with their own flavor. And uh, yeah, it can be hard to see that diversity of opinion and problems and issues that people carry within themselves. But if you look at it positively, it's just a learning curve, right? You're getting to. I think it's a very interesting job or role that you're playing there, and yeah, lots to learn. But uh, thank you so much, Kushi. It's been wonderful. You've given us a lot of good insights. Uh, One thing that particularly, like, it's again, like I said before, it's crazy. You wanted to write a book, you went and wrote it. A lot of people think about, oh, what is this book going to achieve, how many people are going to read it. They worry too much about the result, and they don't focus on the process. But you've embodied this in such a nice way that I want to highlight it again and again, that you just focused on the process. You were just worried about your own efforts, you were just worried about what you can do. And it doesn't matter how much of a noise or how much of a difference it creates on the outside, as long as your intention is pure, just keeps amplifying it. So you went out there and you did that regardless of expecting something in return. I feel like if everybody did that in their own capacity, things would change drastically, because these changes coming in small echo chambers, like your echo chamber, like your ecosystem with your 10 friends, and if everybody's doing their in their own ways and in their own surroundings with 10, 15 people, it would amount to a lot. So
Like, sense of pride in seeing people learning or taking things from you. And like, you don't really have expectation from people, but like when you see people practicing things that, probably something taken out from you or your personality, is always the happiest thing to see, because that is always going to pass on from people to people, and that's going to be like a huge chain anyway. So
yeah, no, 100%. You see like a reflection of your positive traits in them, and can be vice versa as well. So it makes you feel valued, and it makes you feel like you've created an impact in small or big way, whatever it may be. You never know, like that's one small, maybe you show kindness to someone and that person becomes kind. You never know what that person will go on to do and affect the world from the kindness that
true.
he received from you, right? And that's what I'm saying, like we often just get bogged down to how will this result, and you just never know what it will result into, like how energy will flow, how what people will pick up from what, and like how this will result. And you shouldn't have to know, because these things will keep moving on and on and on. You should only be concerned with your efforts and what you do, right? And that's what you did with the book. And you never know how it's impacted who and what they have changed in their life. Maybe you would never know, but just know obviously your intention was pure, so it would have pure outcomes. So kudos to you. I hope somebody gets some inspiration, if not to write a book or do something, whatever they want to do, good thing with a pure intention without worrying about the result. Just keep putting in and doing the effort. If anything, it raises your consciousness and the pride within yourself, right? And that is very reflective in your character, as we can see here. So thank you so much. Thank you so much for being here and giving us your time. It was a pleasure.
Thank you so much for hosting me. Most importantly, I wouldn't have been here if you guys did not host me. And also, I'm always open. Like, you can even tag me. I'm always open if people have any kind of queries to help them. Like, they can just reach out to me via my Instagram, and I'll always be there answering everybody. So I'm like very happy if like
100%. So we're gonna add your details, and if somebody wants to, we didn't get a chance to dive deeper into your spiritual side, but I know you're very, uh, you know, well to do with your experience in pranayama, yoga, meditation, food therapy. So anything in that regard, yeah, people can get in touch with you, or anything else. Maybe writing a book. If I ever write a book, I'm gonna get some help from you. But again, thank you very much. And I also just want to say thank you to our viewers for sticking by with us, and hope you enjoy this conversation. Please support us in any way you can. We truly appreciate it. And we will see you next Sunday.